I think people come to a program to lose weight because they think there's something wrong with them. And that, especially people that come to my program, because I'm not a weight loss expert. What I am is an empathy overload expert, that for people who are highly sensitive, intuitive people who have issues with their weight, that dieting and typical traditional weight loss programs doesn't help. So I geared this program very specifically to people who are empathic and clairsentient. So how do you know you are? Well, you'll have these kind of symptoms. You'll be the person who walks into the room, who senses that there was a fight in the room just before you got there. When everybody else is acting normal, you know something's up. You're the one also that goes to the mall and starts to feel really off base because you're surrounded by too many people. Clairsentients have an extraordinary ability to sense emotionally the temperature of others. And so consequently, you feel truth as equally as that you might feel a lie, for example. So you're a person who really can get deep with somebody else. That's a tremendous gift. But you can also be too open. So part of the fallout for somebody who is empathic, and feeling the world, is overload, empathy overload, overwhelm. It's not just an emotional experience that you're having, like going, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. In fact, the body, there's a science to this. There is something called a hormone response. And what happens is the neuropeptides, which are the little molecules of emotion, go chitter-chattering over to the hormones. So it's going to go to the adrenals. And the adrenals are going to release a stress hormone called cortisol and epinephrine. So the body, which is primitive, because it releases it from the primitive brain, the reptilian brain, is the one that gets activated. So why? Because your experience is that your stress tells you that T-Rex is coming to get you, when there is no T-Rex, but that's what you feel. All the rest of you kind of shuts down your ability to make decisions, your ability to decide whether or not that chocolate bar is good for you or not. All you know is that you have to escape now. So empaths and clairsentients release the same hormone response, because the neuropeptides don't know any different. It's just like, oh my God, there's a sense of overwhelm. Why is the overwhelm? Because you feel invaded. A clairsentient or an empath, it's like you have holes in your energy field and you're sucking up other people's stuff and you can't take on anymore, but you are anyway. So then you start to panic. You don't know really what you're panicked about. You just feel completely ungrounded. So the hormone response, what happens? You start to gain weight you can't lose through dieting, because you have to address the stress response. So I was really tortured by this, and I've always had an issue with food anyway. So this is quite a complicated kind of hairball of components. But the thing that I know that I have in common with all my students too is this one thing, which is the fact that I have empathy overload. When my mother died, and I was also just starting to do readings at that point. So I've been doing readings for a couple of years. So already at that point I was hypersensitive. I was using my intuition a lot. Then she got cancer, brain cancer, and died a few months later. And I started putting on weight from the day she was diagnosed to the day she died. She was diagnosed November the 11th, and then she died February the 17th. I put on 85 pounds in that period of time. Now come on. I was not eating enough food to gain that. It's not possible to gain that weight. So calories in, calories out had really nothing to do with what was happening to me. So I, of course, was terrified. So I was desperate to find a solution, but what was happening to me was that once I gave up, because I completely gave up, that was the other thing. I was 220 pounds, 219 pounds, and I'd had it. I couldn't do it anymore. And so I just said, I'm gonna love myself as I am. So I practiced self-love. I just ate three meals and 2 snacks, no more. I didn't eat in between meals. I prayed, I meditated, I did mindfulness techniques, and I walked. I didn't go to the gym, I didn't exercise, I didn't do anything, and I lost all of my weight by not dieting, by doing mindfulness practices, by practicing self-love, and my body took care of itself, shockingly. So I'm fine again for a few years. I think I've got it licked. Now that's the other thing, the ego piece in here, again, just thinking, oh well, that's never gonna happen to me again. I start touring with Hay House. I'm on stage now in front of 6,000, 7,000 people. Smallest audience at that time for about 2.5 years was 1,500 people. Here I'm on stage, tuned in, right? I'm empathically tuning into their feelings. I'm beside myself. I leave a stage and my ankles are swollen. My pants are getting tight. So that's when I knew, oh my goodness, I was watching what I was eating. That was incredible. And I was like, okay, I'm now watching everything that I'm eating. I'm not pigging out on 100 cookies. I'm really, really serious. I know this is not about the food. This is about empathy overload. So I started doing the research. That's when I started looking at the hormone response. That's why I started saying, what are the dots here? Where's the sciences? Has anybody written about this? So I read books like The Empathic Civilization by Jeremy Rifkin, and I started looking at mindfulness and the effects of the mind, the effects of the subconscious. How does this work? What is the story that empaths tell themselves? Where is that thread of I'm not safe, or I feel, or I want to feel you? A lot of healers have weight issues. So I put the program together and started teaching this a number of years ago. And I remember thinking maybe 30 people will show up. I think this was 6 years ago, and I started teaching this and really looking for people to say, listen, this happens to me, because over the holidays was when I started noticing that no matter what I ate, I would put on weight. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this whole program with other people. I expected 30 people. I had 360 people show up. So I realized, wow, I am not the only healer empath person that, that is intuitively tuned in that also struggles with their weight. There's something about where two or more are gathered together, there I am. There really is a spiritual presence, because this is a spiritual program. This is spirituality and mindfulness. And the rest of it takes care of itself. The body drops the weight as soon as you feel safe enough, connected to a higher power and connected to like-minded people who are in this for the same reason, who feel the same way, and they want to be productive, and they want to be proud of their empathic, abilities and their clairsentience, and they want it not to, debilitate them, and they want to be able to use it in a way that's really positive. And that's what happens when you're supported by others. You're less likely to make to go back to your old ways. So when people come, they're like, where's the diet plan? Where's the food plan? And I'm, yes, we definitely looked at food that would support the adrenals and support the organs and things like that. But it's like, here's my plan. Take out anything white, take out all the processed food, reduce your alcohol intake, and then eat what you like. 3 meals, 2 snacks. And they're like, that's not possible. And some people are like, oh my gosh, but this is way too much food. Well, half the time, people who are compulsive dieters, aren't addressing the real issue, the emotional piece, are not eating enough food in the morning, for example. So breakfast, people come in and going, well, I don't eat breakfast. I'm like, well, if you don't turn the engine on. So very simple things that you can learn anywhere, basically. Those are the simple things we know are just common sense. And then the rest of it's all about the emotion, all about the intuition, all about how to ground, all about mindfulness, all about self-love. Because what also happens? Here's the relationship between thinking and your body. You start telling it it's fat and ugly, it's gonna go, oh, she wants more fat and ugly. Because it will respond. I remember thinking, because I'd hit bottom myself, I'd just been so dejected and demoralized by the fact that I couldn't control my body. I remember doing affirmations every day, naked in the mirror, going, I love my body. I love you. Until I started loving myself. I'd be walking down the street and I think I'm hot. And I was really overweight. And I was feeling better than I'd ever had in my life, because I consistently gave my body positive self-talk. Period. And so that alone will trigger a response in the body to release the feel-good hormone. You're going to have dopamine. You're going to have serotonin. And this is a scientific fact. This isn't woo-woo. But for us intuitives and for people, who are empathic, that will either gain weight or have severe fatigue, our behaviors, our go-to places are either to actually eat a food that will take us out of our head, which is a sugar food, like that, because that's immediately we become very physical, or we're going to isolate. So, which then takes us away from other people. So there is definitely a relationship to the food, but typically it's more about the feelings, because you're less likely to go pig out in the fridge if you're telling your body you love it, because your body's going to go, oh, I love my body. I'm not going to do that to my body. Whereas before, I hate my body. I'm going to just put anything I want into it. So the success rate has been so high too, because the protocols that I do, like, listen, I'm saying there are diet programs that work beautifully for normal people, but my program is for sensitive, intuitive people who struggle with their weight, who know that diets don't work for them, who are really at the last house on the road. I was super, super intimidated by the word meditation years ago. When I first started this, I thought meditation, but all my friends were going to the meditation class, so I didn't want to be left out, so I went. And what I found was this is really easy. It's so easy to do, the kind that I like. And what I created over time, I thought, I didn't like the Zen stuff, the TM. I tried everything. I mean, I was a meditation tourist, right? I went to every program and I thought, what was the best one that worked for the mind like mine? I want instant feedback. I want instant results, instant feedback. Give me that now. And most people that come to this program want that too. So I actually created a really easy, effortless, visual exercise that's a meditation that's simple to do. Kids do it. It's so much fun. And it immediately gives you an instant relief by just following the directions that we're going to be talking about in lesson 1. And I call it Get On Your Bird. I love to bring this exercise, for example, when I'm working with a live audience, because everybody, it's kind of I think, because it's so easy and because it's so much fun and because it's so meaningful for everyone, that when I see it in a live audience, you hear this hush, and then all of a sudden you hear this wow, right? Because what happens is that you actually do feel dramatically different right away. And you actually realize that, oh my God, my mind really can work in my favor. I really can do this. I really can change the way I feel. I don't need to do the same thing that I needed to do 2 minutes ago. And then part of the exercise when I do it with a live audience is to take a look at what kind of bird, because each bird actually has symbolic meaning. So it also helps you enter into kind of that oracular headspace, or like you become your own oracle. So there's an intuitive meaning as well that the bird can bring you just instantly, just by being there. So this, I think, is why it's so popular now and why so many people are coming to my workshops and they're really loving it. A, because it's easy to do, and B, because it's so profound. So lesson 1, we're teaching you how to get some distance by getting on your bird. And lesson 2, we address the most common denominator that affects all of us highly intuitive, empathic people, and that's drama. Do you notice that you're attracted to people that bring drama into your life? I sure did. I noticed I was drama, I could create drama, and because I was empathic, I was tuned into drama. Why? Because I want to help the drama. And that's so common. We want to get in there and fix it. That is the most common trait of people who are clairsentients. Typically, clairsentients are healers. Even though you don't work as a healer professionally, you still have that desire to heal and help others. So drama is something that's toxic for us. Why? Because you can't fix it, you can't control it, you can't cure it, and most of the times you didn't cause it. I teach people a way of journaling that's very different than other classes that you'll notice out there. And because I have everybody separate their feelings into categories, we have a dumping grounds journal, and that's the only place you're allowed to complain. That's where all your negative feedback is going to go, only in this one journal. Once you close it, then you have another journal to write in all the things you're learning, all the affirmations, all the positive feedback you can give your body, the world is giving back to you once you've dialed down the drama. See, once you put the negative energy and the thought processes in its own separate place and then close it, you don't share it with other people, you stick it in there. You won't feel that compulsive need to share it, which is like you end up dumping it on other people, just like they dump on you. So this way, you're basically saying, we're closed. My most favorite exercise is what well, actually, I don't know which is my favorite exercise. They're all so good. But besides get on your bird is neutralizing the chatterbox. So I have everybody visualize the fact that they might have a box where all their thoughts are. Because if you can actually see a picture of this and the fact that you've got all these little chatty Cathys in there, or sometimes people visualize these little creatures that are yapping, or it's fascinating how the mind is going to show this to you. But you recognize that all your feelings can be contained, feelings, thoughts, and beliefs that chatter away can be contained in a box. And if you actually pay attention to your thoughts, you're saying a lot of nothing, right? So, oh, what do I do today? Oh, I better call my husband. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, geez, they said that to me. Like, just innocuous balderdash, right? So the exercise I teach you is how to put all this in a box and then let them out and then put them back in and have them, and recognize that you can actually train these thoughts visually to go in and out of the box. And so you notice how calm you feel when those thoughts are contained. And then you're only dealing with the ones that are pertinent and important. So it teaches you to have a sense of calm, and again, that sense of detachment. This is all about being observant, observing the inner workings of the mind. That is the core principle of this entire course, is teaching people how to be observant and mindful, and it's amazing. The whole point of this program is to teach people how to choose, right? If we can't choose. When we are in that fight-flight scenario, when we are feeling overwhelmed, there's no choice. The choice is to escape. That's it. And we're going to find a reason to escape, or the choice is to protect ourselves, because the instinct is we're not safe, right? So we're trying to create safety and detachment so that then there's an ability to make a choice. Would I really choose that? Is that the right choice for me? No, I think I want to choose this, because we don't have a choice if we're not in that neutral, observant state. Which is a calmer state. We're happier there, and we're very likely to choose something that is self-affirming and positive. It's being able to choose something from a place of, not a place of deprivation. That's the other thing. So it's really not about depriving oneself. You make a choice because it's better for you. In lesson 5, I introduced the principle of how thoughts create reality. So we really go into subconscious programming and how what we think creates a feeling, and how that feeling creates a hormone response. So we actually show you, step by step, how the mind actually affects the body. So it really is the mind-body-spirit interface. And so you learn that, you recognize, right, this is exactly what happens to me when I do this. This is what happens to me when I do that. So we really get you to understand that. Again, you have to get to a place where you can even listen to this information, and that's what the first 4 steps are too. The first 4 lessons teach you how to be really open, to choose, so you're not in that fight flight, and you can actually absorb some really interesting information. And it is really fascinating how the mind works and how the body perfectly responds to what we think. It really does. So the final lesson gives the protocols that you need when you leave the actual learning section of the program, because once you finish a program, how many people just stop doing it and then they go back and do the same thing over again what they did before they got there? Like, perfect example is family meals, like holiday family meals, where you could go there and the stress level is so high that you leave and you might not have barely touched anything, but you're 7 pounds heavier. So we give real protocols to do, real suggestions, so that when you leave, you have the tools to be able to apply to any situation, and so that you're doing them every day. Also, you've got maybe study partners, or you've got a friend, and you're really actually staying active in the community that we've provided for you too, and nobody ever leaves. Like, we've got hundreds of people in there that started, that just keep staying. So not only is this a fantastic online course where you have phenomenal written material with protocols that absolutely work, we've proven that they work, you get every single week a live coaching call with a real live coach or two. People who are so highly trained in my program and they really know what they're doing. They're there to support you. You can ask them questions. They're there to really, really be there and support you. Those calls are live and you get to call in. As soon as you get there to the first lesson, you have a phenomenal conversation, taped conversation between me and Dr. Bruce Lipton, who describes the epigenetic experience and response that the body has and why empaths gain weight and have issues and how this program actually works scientifically. It's fascinating interview I did with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Every week you also get downloadable guided meditations. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is put on your headphones and listen to it. And it's instant result. The whole point of this course is to show people how they can reduce their stress levels, manage empathy overload, they can get to that calm, mindful space so their body can finally start releasing the weight. And if a person is not satisfied in the first lesson, if they don't feel a stress relief in doing that get on your bird exercise, I'm willing to give 100% of the money back. So there's really no reason why somebody couldn't try this, because it's a 100% money back guarantee, and I believe so strongly in this process. It's worked for me, it's worked for hundreds of other people. And the best part is this is lifetime access. We don't cut you off at the end of 6 weeks or even at the end of 3 months. You get lifetime access to the forum, you get lifetime access to the recordings, to the meditations, to all the content. You get to have it. And you can always listen back too to those original live calls with those coaches, just in case you falter one day, go, oh man, I gotta remember what they said. And you'll have that. You'll always have it at your fingertips to support you on your journey forward. I'm so excited that you're here. Join me. It is awesome. Join an amazing group of people. You'll be so glad you did. And remember, if I can do it, you can do it. Click the link in this video to go to the checkout page, or go to the URL you see on the screen now and click the Join Now button. And I hope to see you on the first live call in January.